India was attempting to bring about a regime change operation by bribing over 40 member of parliament against the last president of Maldives.
The tensions between India and Maldives were quite high. Maldives announced and demanded Indian authorities to pull out their troops that were stationed on one of the islands. India doesn't have territorial disputes with the only neighbor, that's Indian Ocean.
Should the immigrants and Pakistani and South Asian diaspora be worried about Trump?
They should be worried. Trump is probably the most paradoxical president in US history.
Political reconciliation between government and PTI. Should we take it seriously?
Mr. Khan has failed to pressurize the state of Pakistan and the current government. He has failed to pressurize with mass demonstrations and many botched attempts to invade and capture Islamabad through mobs.
With a new episode of our program, The Weekend, I am Muhammad Ali.
And I am Murtaza Solangi.
Murtaza, like previous week, this week was no less interesting at global, regional and national levels. But much focus has traditionally remained on Pakistani politics. But there is one particular story in one of the leading American papers, Washington Post, which I think deserves our attention and discussion. I think it's quite a shocking revelation based on an official document that Washington Post has claimed that India was attempting to bring about a regime change operation by bribing over 40 member of parliament against the last president of Maldives. What are the details?
Well, the details are quite perplexing. There's an element of bribe. There's an element of so-called non-state actors of India colluding or possibly colluding with India's premier external spy agency, Research and Analysis Wing, and collaboration with the opposition parliamentarians and even possibly the former president Nasheed, who has denied and has come out with a clarification. But the basic thing you already laid out, I'm sure you know, last year after elections, new president Mohammad Muizu, who ran the campaign on so-called anti-India platform.
I recall you also visited Maldives during the previous administration. What are your memories, and can you relate some of that with this shocking revelation?
Well, soon after the elections, Mohammad Muizu, who is now the president, his party won election. It was almost a landslide. And he ran the election campaign on sort of anti-India platform against Indian influence and interference, demanding that Indian troops should be pulled out. So I went there because the Prime Minister couldn't go. So I represented Pakistan, and I attended the oath-taking ceremony. And when I returned, right after my return, Maldives announced and demanded Indian authorities to pull out their troops that were stationed on one of the islands. They have pulled out, but the tensions between India and Maldives were quite high, and they actually had asked us to deliver some goods, including food items, etc., which Pakistan tried to help because the tensions were quite high. So that's the backdrop under which you just mentioned. Now, the Indian authorities have denied this, and Indian media is full of stories slandering Maldives. Mohammad Nasheed, the former president, also has said that no, India can't do it. But given the history of India, probably India has the only, India doesn't have territorial disputes with the only neighbor, that's Indian Ocean. Because other than that, they have had, trouble with Sri Lanka, they had trouble with Bangladesh, they had trouble with Nepal, they have trouble now with Maldives, Pakistan, and China. So that's what Pakistan has been calling Indian expansionism and Big Brother trying to become a big brother in this region. So this will have a bad reputation for India, while India is already being criticized in Canada and US for, transnational killing spree. So,
but I think based on what you say, I can identify three key features of Indian foreign policy towards its neighbors. One is active support for different insurgent and terrorist organizations, dating back to Mufti Bahani's active support in 1971 in erstwhile East Pakistan, now Bangladesh. And then we move fast forward, decades-long material and substantive support for Tamil Tigers in Sri Lanka. And then after 9/11, we witnessed major support for TTP and BLA against Pakistan.
Which is continuing.
Support for Dalai Lama is something which even American scholars have recognized from on behalf of India. But that is one aspect. The second aspect is a very clear interventionist approach towards a particular regime, supporting it or making, or creating difficulties for it. And you would recall a very major act of terrorism against the Nepalese royal family, which led to the killing of several members of the Nepalese royal family. And there has been military intervention in Maldives earlier, also Sri Lanka, and the support for the Northern Alliance during, the Afghanistan situation is also a historical reality. But the third most interesting aspect, which you also refer to, is the more recent policy of tracking down and eliminating political critics and opponents based abroad of Indian origin, which includes Sikhs. We've heard practically all I5 countries, whether it's New Zealand, whether it's Australia, whether it's Britain, whether it's Canada, and now the US as well, expressing their concern about the Indian intelligence agencies' attempt to identify and eliminate political critics. So these three key features seem to have become a norm or a pattern. So this particular story of Washington Post, while it is a shocking revelation, is not something new to Pakistani audience. And like you contextualized, since the former president pursued an anti-India agenda, the support and the desire to change regime by bribing over 40 member of parliament and 10 military and police officials as well comes as a no surprise to me.
It doesn't, and that's an attempt to destabilize the current president, because the former president Nasheed had a pro-India tilt, but not surprising.
I think the recent statements made by the current Bangladeshi government are also quite interesting. If you would recall,
they have actually demanded extradition of Sheikh Hasina so she could be tried in Bangladesh for mass persecutions and killings of civilians by the Sheikh Hasina government.
And she continues to enjoy the hospitality of India right now, unlike any other country.
Yes, but what they have done is, in order to silence the critics, they have practically put her in a state of incommunicado. So she's not holding press conferences, not announcing any government in exile, etc. Just like Mukti Bahani had during 70-71, if you remember. But that's a blot on Indian state.
Let's move to another topic of our discussion. In the last few weeks of the outgoing Biden administration seem to be very eventful. I can identify three particular trends. Hasty economic and business deals being signed by the Biden administration in the hope that Trump administration will not undo them. I also noticed even Apple is offering some major discounts in the Chinese market before the arrival of the Trump administration, which has already announced a massive trade attack on China in the coming weeks and months. The second trend is that the immigration issue, even after elections, continue to simmer and draw and attract a lot of international and domestic attention in the US. And the recent and unfortunate killing of almost 15 people in New Orleans has been linked with Daesh ISIS, and he has a former extensive military background. He's a war veteran, served for almost 10 years in the US military. There is a psychological dimension, but there is also a political context that it seems that the incoming administration could exploit it to advance its anti-immigration agenda. What's your take on this?
Well, when it comes to business deals, there's not a whole lot that Biden administration can do, because we are just days away from swearing in ceremony on January 20th. And then Trump administration that's coming with a heavy mandate controlling all chambers, House of Representatives, Senate, all branches of the government. So there's not a much Democrats would be able to do, except some legal challenges in courts if Democrats and the affected parties choose to continue this thing. Even in House and Senate, they would not be able to do filibuster. So there's not a whole lot that Democrats can do to stop Mr. Trump. However, the policies against China, the heavy tariff policies that they have intended Trump future incoming administration, not only against China, but even they have threatened Europe. Buy oil and gas from us, don't do business with China. The nominees of Mr. Trump, from Elon Musk to Richard Grenell, our favorite PTI boy in Pakistan, they have been threatening even countries like Germany and interfering in German politics by supporting a right-wing political party. These are, I would say, interesting times in the Chinese expression ahead of us. But this anti-immigration platform, even that has caused ripples within Trump's political party.
I think Elon Musk has expressed some reservations because the brilliance and the growth of his industrial enterprise heavily depends upon talented overseas immigrants.
It would not be even possible, but there are other, the blue collar America, the white Anglo-Saxon Midwest and other workers who have quite anti-immigrant agenda. So there would be trouble within Trump camp. And it's already showing, especially those work visas for those technical people. And in this region, it's mainly Indians. So we will see how...
But I recall recently some of the Ivy League universities advised their overseas students
to return before Trump arrives.
Absolutely. So I think we remain cautiously optimistic. But what's your analysis regarding should the immigrants and Pakistani and South Asian diaspora be worried about Trump?
They should be worried. But we will see. Trump is probably the most paradoxical president in US history. He can flip in a moment. It's the same Trump who called Kim Jong-un Rocket Man.
I remember.
And then he went and hugged him and, shook hands with him. So he can flip. He is a deal maker, a businessman who can dance with the devil. He has this capacity. So we will see how he, handles things. But he's not a traditional politician. He's supported by tech giants.
Indeed.
And tech giants operate, live and breathe foreign skilled workers.
And indeed, that's a huge paradox.
It is.
Because on one side, the ideological constituency of Trump is heavily conservative, white, Caucasian, Orthodox Christian. But he is being supported, financed by tech giants who survive and thrive on the talent and ideas and efforts of the brilliant overseas immigrants.
It is. So I have a gut feeling that Trump administration won't be able to do much against highly skilled foreign workers. The only trouble that I see is probably that anti-immigration policy would somehow be twisted and turned around to become anti-Muslim. That would be the easiest way out for Trump. So he might not be against highly skilled Indian workers if they are not Muslim. But there might be a clear bias against the people of the Middle East and Muslim countries, including Pakistan. So that's what I fear.
Let's see if Mr. Trump walks the talk. But what's going on in Pakistan? I think there's a lot of talk of political reconciliation between government and PTI. Should we take it seriously?
Well, few things have changed. Mr. Khan has failed to pressurize the state of Pakistan and the current government. The economic indicators are in favor of the current government. Current account surplus, highest ever stock market, inflation going down, interest rates going down from 23 to 13 and even might be less.
Exports growing as well.
Exports growing as well. So that's one side of the situation. The other side is that he has failed to pressurize with mass demonstrations and many botched attempts to invade and capture Islamabad through mobs, the last being in November last year. So now, if you look at the demand list of Mr. Khan, the cancellation of 26th Amendment is out of the window. Not recognizing this government. We won't talk to this Farm 47 government. He's said 2 rounds have already commenced. So he's willing to talk to them. And now the demands are, free our political prisoners and constitute a judicial commission on May 9 and November 2024. The government would have no problem constituting a judicial commission on November. However, there is no possibility for constituting a judicial commission on May 9 event that took place 2 years back. Because many of those people have already been tried. Some have been sentenced. 19 people got remission after mercy petition yesterday. So there would be no commission on May 9.
But some people have been saying that 26th November incident of Islamabad is a consequence of judiciary not taking a timely decision on May 9 incidents. What's your perspective on it?
I do believe that November 26, from 24th to 26th, that attempt was a reincarnation of May 9 by, attempting to make the state dysfunctional and get control of the state apparatus through some kind of Bangladesh and Sri Lanka
But I want you to slightly zoom out and look at this PTI and founder PTI's behavior pattern. It seems that when he is weak and down, he seems willing to reconcile. But once he feels and believes that he is strong, then he lives up to his promise
then
of
he
being
grabs you by the
dangerous,
neck.
of being a dangerous.
Correct.
So, do you think appeasement is a right approach towards Khan? Because let's face it, a few of the individuals convicted in May 9 have been,
people who had
forgiven.
People who were sentenced for 2 years.
Yes.
But these people have already finished a year and a half. But there were only 6 months that were
But don't
somehow.
you think that it has impressed or persuaded PTI founder that he can and should do business peacefully and politically rather than doing politics on the street?
If he continues to get relief, maybe, but I don't think he's getting one, because a couple of days from today, on January 6th, we are expecting the verdict on £190 million case. And I don't see any relief for him. Maybe not for his wife, Bushra, but he's not getting scot-free. They have tried requesting off the record, asking both the establishment and the current government to somehow delay the inevitable. I'm not sure if it would be delayed, and if it would be, for how long. You have to announce the verdict. Either you have to get him scot-free or punish him. But the preponderance of the evidence of abuse of power and embezzlement is so huge that I don't see any chance for Mr. Khan getting less than 10 years.
That's the legal perspective. But the stance, the long-standing stance of establishment has been that the legal matters should be seen separately from the political matters. The political matters should be dealt with by the politicians. Establishment has no business with the political negotiations. And the diaspora said so in his last briefing, reiterating his earlier stance that if Mr. Khan wants to talk, he should talk to the politicians.
Yeah.
So basically you're implying the 6th January verdict should be seen purely on legal basis, and politics is not likely to influence the outcome or future of Mr. Khan.
It would be a legal verdict, but it has political connotation. And the connotation is, weaker he gets, his demand list would go down, and he would accept the terms that state wants to read out to him. So I think by the passage of time, his bargaining and blackmailing power would go down, and this would be a good news for the political stability of Pakistan.
Mr. Solangi, thank you so much for joining us. Viewers, this was our program today, The Weekend. Hope you enjoyed it. Keep watching this space, and don't forget to give your feedback. Thank you so much.